Want to look at the difference between merging and appending. Now, merging means when you're adding more variables to your data set. And we know in Stata, variables represent columns and rows represent our observations. So in merging, what you're doing is you're adding more variables, i.e. columns in your data set. Your data set will have more columns. So ideally in this case, number of observations don't change. You want to add more information about the same observations, right? You want to add more columns, more variables, and those variables will store more information about the same observations, right? So keep in mind merging is when you want to add more variables, i.e. columns in your data set. So you want to add more information about the same observations that you have. Let's look at an example to understand what this means. Say you have file one on student scores over here, like for this student one and student two, you have their scores. You want to merge file 2 with it to add more information about the same observations, right? So you have file 1 on scores and then you have file 2 on gender. So what you want to do is you want to merge file 2 with file 1. When I merge file 2 with file 1, so you will know now in file 1, we won't be adding any more observations. You can see in file 1, our number of observations are just 2, right? So we're not adding any more observations in file 1. What we want to do is we want to add more variables or columns, right? So what we're going to do is when you merge file 2 with file 1, so this is what you'll get, right? Where you have the same number of observations as before. You have 2 observations for 2 students, but you've added more columns, right? First, file 1 only had a column of scores. Now I've added another column with the gender, right? To get more information on the same observations. First, the information in file 1 you had about the observations is only the score, but now you have the gender as well. So that's what merging does. It adds more variables. In file 1, what we've done is we've added another variable gender to get more information on the same observations. So our data has become wider, right? The data set has become wider. It has more columns. So in merging, you're adding more columns. The point is to get more information about the same observations. Like over here, you initially just add information on scores, but you merge it with another file which to add more information about the same observations on gender. Now, what is appending? In appending, what we're doing is we are adding more observations of the same variable. So in merging, we add more variables to get more information about the same observations. Like here, we wanted information on the same or on the same 2 observations. We wanted more information. In addition to the score, we wanted to know the gender of the students. But in appending, we're adding more observations of the same variables, right? So here what we're doing is we're adding more rows. The number of variables don't change in this case, right? So when you're appending, the number of variables don't change. What you're doing is you're adding more observations of the same variables. So say you had 2 files, one that you had for male students and one you had for female students. You want to combine these 2 together. So what you would do in this case is you would append file 2 to file 1. And because when you append file 2 to file 1, what you would do is right now, this had ID, name, GPA, it had these 2 students. What you want to do is right now I just had these 2 students, right? John and Tim. So what I want to do is when I append file 2 to file 1, I'm adding more observations to the same variables, ID, name, GPA. Right now I'm adding more observations here, 3 and 4 to this, right? So here data set, as you can see, becomes longer, right? It has more rows now. The number of variables has not changed. So this is the difference between merging and appending. In merging, you add more variables, i.e. columns. So you want to add more information about the same observations that you already have. Like here for the same 2 students, we added more of their more information regarding them by adding more variables in the data set. So merging is adding more variables, i.e. columns. Appending is when you add more observation of the same variable. So it's adding more rows in your data set, right? So you had these variables ID, name, GPA. So you had observations for male students. Now you also added observations for these same variables for female students. So adding more rows in your data set. So merging is adding more variables, i.e. columns. Appending is adding more observations, i.e. rows. So merging is meant to add more variables or columns in the data set. Appending is meant to add more observations